All right, I guess why don't we go ahead and get started? So I'll call the Halifax Finance Committee meeting to order at 6:01 p.m. on Monday, March 6th. In attendance is Frank Johnston, Michael Bennett, Jim Walters, Cheryl Zerla Burt, myself, Todd Dargy. Absent is Tom Connolly and Jonathan Smallin. First order of business on the agenda. Also, sorry, I failed to mention the meeting is also being recorded by Area 58, as well as indicated in the top left-hand corner. As far as the agenda is concerned, so the first order of business for tonight was the acceptance of meeting minutes. So they were for revision to the February 6th minutes to include the documents that were covered in that session. So we circulated that. I know folks have reviewed that. And then in addition to that were the meeting minutes from our last session, which was Monday, February 27th. Somebody like to make a motion to approve those?
So moved.
Second?
A second.
Thank you, Frank. Roll call vote, Jim,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
myself is a yes. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda was the reserve fund transfer. So I see Gene joined as well, but we covered this pretty extensively in the last session. So there was a formal request submitted that everyone should have received. So it was in the amount as discussed, which was $244. So request to transfer from the reserve fund to the library expense to correct the shortfall in the library fiscal year 23 appropriation to meet the state certification, which was sent over by Jean Gallant, Library Director of the Holmes Public Library. Somebody like to make motion to approve the reserve fund transfer?
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote, Jim,
Yes.
Frank,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Motion carries. The next item on the agenda for tonight was actually the Highway Department capital budget request, capital request that was submitted. So I do see Steve joined us. So I'm just going to share my screen here, Steve, before we get started. Show the documents that you sent. Bear with me one second.
Okay. What's going on here now?
I'll have this one up here first, Steve. Can you see my screen?
I can't
No.
see it. Which one is it though? And I'll take a look in my,
Here it comes.
Yeah, it's coming now, Todd.
Okay.
There you go.
okay, chipper.
Yeah, the first one, sorry, the first one here is the chipper. Yeah, you want to cover this. So there were two requests that were submitted. One was the chipper and one was an excavator. So we'll cover the chipper first. So this document here is the chipper PDF for reference for the minutes.
Mhm.
Okay, so the chipper that I want to replace is a 2008 BC 1000 chipper. It's good for what we do, kind of, but the ones I'm looking at are a little bit bigger, and they have, if you look in the top picture there, it's got a winch on it with a rope. It's so if we get bigger logs now, instead of having to keep on cutting them up, you just take the whole tree, you hook it up, and you pull it to the chipper, and it chips it up. And the old chipper does up to 12 inches. This 1500 will do a 15-inch log. And I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the stormwater, but we have a lot of detention ponds, whatever. They are overgrown, and we're gonna have to start cleaning them out. And this machine will make our life a lot easier. The old machine is starting to get old. I had it, they came out and gave me a trade-in value. What did I do with it? $7,250 for the trade-in. So that, of course, would go right toward the new chipper. And I believe you have the quotes that I have, 3 of them up there.
Apologies, what was that, Steve?
The quotes.
Oh, the 3
have
quotes, yeah,
three.
okay, sorry. Yeah.
And 2 of the machines that I'm looking at are gas instead of diesel. So that's another difference. The 1200 is just a little bit above what we have, and it would only add 1.5 inches to the size we could actually put through. So I was really leaning toward the 1500 gas, which is the, where is it? Which would be the $66,000 one. But if you notice, they gave the quarters, they go up $2,000 or $3,000 every quarter now.
Oh,
So
okay. Yeah.
by the time if this passes, it'll go up 1 quarter. So that I added that into it. So it'll be $69,264. That's with the quarterly price increase and the minus the trade-in.
There's 2 trade-in numbers on that quote sheet. One is 7250.
I think that's just the net of this here, Frank.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got you. So the trade-in value will stay at 7250, even if it goes another quarter past that, Steve?
Let me see where we at here. Yeah, so it starts off at 73 minus the trade-in is 66, add the quarter and you're at 69.24 or 264.
Yeah, I was getting that. They're not gonna lower the price of the trade-in, are they? Because the machine gets another quarter older?
Oh, no,
No.
he said
Okay,
we took care of the machine, so it's pretty much, there's not too much more we could do to it that will make it lose its value unless a tree fell on it. I shouldn't have said that, but
Yeah.
See what happens tomorrow.
And sorry, Steve, so what's the current machine that you have, the 2008 there, is that a Vermeer
yes,
product as well? And what's is it a 1200 or 1500 or
it's a 1,000.
1000? Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a little bit smaller than what we're looking at.
Mm.
Okay.
There's a couple other companies out there that I haven't really looked at yet because Vermeer has a safety feature that if you look at the picture of the back of the machine, you look at there's a bar on the bottom. That's if your knee hits that, it stops the machine automatically, so you can't get dragged in.
Oh, this bar here in the left
Yes.
picture? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And that's the only company that has that.
Steve, is that a double drum in there?
Yes. Only one of them really spins with the power, the other one just like pulls with it to keep it straight.
And it has a remote control. Is that a wired remote control or an IR?
I really didn't ask the guy about that because if it does come option, I do not want it. So I really didn't look into that part of it.
Yeah, it is an option. The optional tree commander.
Yeah, it says optional.
Oh yeah, right there, option, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
optional.
not gonna get that.
All right,
But that's
any
about
other,
it on the chipper. I
Yeah.
mean, it's something we're gonna need again. The chipper at the point it's at now, it's getting old. We're having a little issue every now and then, but nothing major. And chippers are beat just because of what they do. I mean, you're throwing wood through
Mm,
blades. So,
yeah.
Okay, so the formal request is the 69,260. So the trade-in will just go directly back to them. I guess, have we looked at other opportunities for valuing the equipment? I know, like, just through auction or anything like that, I guess, or is it
that was my
worthwhile
next
exploring?
question. That was my next question, because the same as the mini excavator, the next one, I think we'd be able to get more money for that on auction. The guy didn't get back to me on the trade-in price, but he said it's not gonna be too high because of the year, how old it is. But for the Vermeer, the chipper, he said they could sell that. That's why they'll give us that much money for it.
Right, yeah, sure.
So I don't know what we get if we went out to auction on the chipper.
Yeah, it might be something we want to explore just to see if there's an opportunity to get a few more bucks there. I mean, I wouldn't expect it to be, a huge difference, I guess, but we might be able to get like another 1,000 or two through that
Right.
avenue. Yeah. Okay, all right. Any other questions for Steve on this chipper before we move over to the excavator request?
Steve, did this come from a state contract?
They have the source well. It's the, where is it?
Yeah, it's contract number here.
So it's a Massachusetts contract?
I haven't used this one before, so I'm not sure. It's just I asked the guy, and we've dealt with Vermeer before, so I'm pretty sure it's a Massachusetts one. It's the same company we bought the last one from.
Okay, you just want to double check
Yeah.
on the state, on I think it's DOR's website. They have a list of all the state contracts. We just have to make sure they're on the state contract.
I will do that.
And I have a question. I don't know if Cody or Todd be able to answer it, but if we sell this on our own at auction, does that mean that we have to budget the full amount for town meeting? Because we wouldn't be auctioning it right away.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
think so. Yeah.
We would
You're-
have to
you're-
put in the full
you're-
amount.
You're better off trading it in. What, if you're talking 1,000 or two more, the amount of work that we're gonna have to go through to post it on surplus supplies, bring it into the general fund. I mean, if you were talking, double, triple more, then it'd be worth it, but for a couple thousand, it's not worth it for us to go through the process. It'll cost more in time and resources of the staff.
Right.
And there's
Yeah,
no real
that's-
assurance that we're gonna get any real money more than what they're already offering us.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things with the auction. We could put it to auction, and if it's not enough money, we can say no. But by then it's too late to trade it, so
Right,
Right,
It's-
we're better off.
yeah, I agree with Cody. It's better to do it up front and just be done. At least that way we're getting something.
Mm,
Okay, all right, great. Anything else for Steve on the chipper?
mm.
No? Okay. All right, so then we'll move over next to the next document, which is the MECAL Mechalak 7MWR request for a new excavator.
okay. Now this is a fancy thing here. I've seen them around, but not like this. And I guess Brockton has one. I haven't had a chance to go look at it, but we've got one coming in for a demo this Wednesday. And it's something that, like, right now with the machine we have, it's a 2003 mini rubber tired excavator, so we have to trailer it wherever we go. Out in the cemetery, if we're working in section E, or really any other sections, if we have to lift something out of the hole, it can't lift it. This machine is small enough to fit between all the stones. It triples what we can actually lift for capacity of the weights and all that. And what else was in the cemetery? It'll fit in the cemetery, and that's, you guys, I'm sure you guys don't know about section E, but section E is a double deep system. So the vaults are already in the ground. So we have to dig off the earth above the cover. We have to lift the cover off, which the old machine we have has a problem with just the cover itself. But once we get down into the second part of the vault that's in the ground, we have to pull out another section, and the machine will not pull it out. So we have to go out there with another machine, and hopefully it fits to get the piece out. So right there on that part is why I want to go with this machine for the cemetery. And for the whole department wise, this machine has a million different uses. If you put the other picture up there, it shows you, if you look at the top one, that's just regular digging. But as you see how much further out it'll go, normally the machine that we have only does right next to it. So this adds basically 3 more times the distance we can actually dig with it. And it's the way they've built it, it's not going to tip over. The other thing is, it's like, I don't know if you guys know, a skid steer. It's a small machine, like a mini loader. And if you look at the second picture and the bottom picture, it actually, you can dig like you do with a skid steer on the same machine. So it turns the whole thing around, and you can work with the other part of the bucket that way. It's a totally different bucket. You have to switch them out, but it's all quick connect. And then when you can go up higher than the other, like we can't load anything with the backhoe, I mean the mini excavator we have. This one we could actually load stuff with it. And what else is there? There's the that trailer right there that you see behind next to it. This machine, you can actually hook a trailer up to it. So when we're doing stormwater clean out ditches and all that stuff, we don't need 2 or 3 people to help load the truck. We don't have an extra truck. We don't have an extra person there cleaning up. This machine will scoop it out, tow the trailer. You can fill the trailer and then tow this stuff to the next place. So you don't have to have anybody else with you. So you only use one person. And I don't know if you guys know, that's what I try to do, is try to find stuff that'll help that way with less labor. And this is a perfect machine for that. And then this one here shows the different angles you can use the machine at. The bottom one there, as you see in the arm, it actually twists, so you can sit sideways on with the parallel to the road, but then you can turn your bucket so you stay straight and dig a straight line back. And the same as the other picture shows you how it travels. And the digging in tight spaces, that bottom picture there shows you that it's real compact. And as I said, one of the good things about it is you can actually drive it somewhere instead of having to put it on a trailer, strap it down, and then go to the next job. The bad part, it is a little bit more expensive.
The 157 is the quote on this.
Yes. And they didn't get back to me with the trade-in on the mini excavator, but he told me it's not going to be too much. And that one, I think we might be better off doing the auction on that one. Because a lot of smaller companies, something like that, people would buy that. But the smaller companies.
And is this optional attached, like, is this included into this
Okay, yeah,
157?
I have 2 of them. If you go up from the bottom, included attachments, there's 2 of them. There's the 90
Oh, I see. Okay, yeah.
skid steer or the skid loader. That's the, like I said, that's the one that'll dig and load. And then the other bucket is for excavation. But I would want to buy the 4x1, which is, so if we have a really messy ditch, it actually, it's like a clamp. You scoop down, it's got a bucket, and it's got a teeth on top of it, and it closes so you can pick up stuff without having stuff fall all over the place. It holds it tight. It's like a thumb.
What is that, a clamshell, Steve?
It's like a clamshell, but it's open, so it's like, I'm trying to think of the word.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And it's got the drainage on there for the liquids.
Yes,
And that's not included in your price here?
no, that was separate. We didn't even talk about that. And there is one other attachment, which I'm not even gonna try to go for now. And it basically, it's a pivot that goes where the attachments attached to the arm. It actually does 360 degrees, so you can do whatever you want to do with that machine. You can go at an angle, you can do whatever you want with it, but I can't see spending $59,000 on that attachment right now. So I just would like to get this machine, let the guys learn how to use it, and then maybe at a later date, get that other piece.
And the connection for the buckets are quick connect, Steve? They're
Yes.
not a pin system?
Nope, it's quick connect.
Yeah.
So just a couple questions, I guess, Steve. So have we looked at other potentially suitable other options within Mechalak, like, like a different series or things of that nature, to see if there was any opportunity to use maybe a least less expensive?
Yeah, no,
Um,
I'm trying to find it now. I checked JVC, Volvo. Can't find all my paperwork now. But I checked like 3 different companies that have the same type of machine, but none of them do the Bobcat, the skid steer part. Volvo, they don't make a small enough one. JCB has something like it, but it's not anything like this. I don't think that would work for the town, because I think that, if I remember, and I wish I could find it.
Tomorrow morning, they are open today.
It has to, it's not skinny enough to get between the stones,
Yeah, you want a cake?
okay.
What to do?
cemetery.
That's what I thought too. Yeah, I'll order that too.
Cheryl, we're getting some feedback on the, want to just mute?
I thought that was to me.
Okay.
Okay, so the JCB is similar, but it won't fit between the stones, you were saying?
Right, but it's
Not
completely
usable.
separate or different from this machine. It's somewhat the same, but it's just, there's no, like, if you look at the side view, this has 3 separate arms and it twists. That's one of the biggest difference that none of the other machines have. And the size of the machine compared to the other machines that won't fit into the cemetery.
Okay. So that was Volvo, JCB, and then did you say there was a third one too you looked at? Or?
It might have been a no Volvo I looked at, JCB. I just had everything together today too.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, maybe if you can just
But
share.
there
like,
is
you
one
have-
more that I did look at, and like I said, for the price difference, in my eyes, my opinion, it's not worth going with a smaller or cheaper machine compared to this. What it would do for the town.
Okay. Okay, yeah, I mean, if you have that other documentation, if you wouldn't mind just, forwarding that along, I guess, too, just so we can get that at some point. We won't vote
Yeah,
on this like tonight.
I can
itself,
get,
so.
when I find all the information, I can email you it, and then you can see all
Perfect,
the other stuff.
Yeah, that'd be great, just so we can get a sense of, obviously, as part of our role, right, we want to just make sure that we're doing the due diligence and looking at other options and things of that nature before we just, approve. Especially with something with such a large price tag as this item is.
Right.
But you did mention there was a demo. So what's is that?
Backhoe we just got, the backhoe that we just got last year, that was 113.
Was it?
So-
Okay,
That's showing you a little bit of the difference right there. But the backhoe still wouldn't do as much as this machine does. but we
Okay.
still need the backhoe. We need both.
Understandable. Question for you, Steve, on the, you mentioned there was a demo that was, is that happening this week, I guess, and where is that occurring?
This Wednesday, and it's gonna be here at the town barn.
Okay, I won't be available, but is anybody from the finance committee maybe interested in popping by and taking a look at this, or? I don't know if
8
anybody has.
a.m.
Steve, what time is the demo on Wednesday?
8 a.m.
8 a.m. And it's down at the barn?
Yes,
Yeah, I'll drop down, Todd.
Okay, awesome, that'd be great, Frank, yeah. And then maybe you can just let us know your thoughts, I guess, post that.
Sure.
go ahead,
I just said,
Is this company on the Mass State Contractors list?
they're on there too. They're under the Greater Boston, where is it? It is the Greater Boston something, one of those contractors, state contract.
Okay, okay.
Steve, this is Frank.
Oh,
I have one more
Greater
question
Boston.
for you.
Yep.
Regarding the dealer, is the dealer local so that if the operations and maintenance of this unit, or how's that work?
Yeah, they're out of Lowell.
And they have mechanics that can work on this type of equipment?
Mechanics, everything. Yeah, they have the service. And I asked them about how hard is it to get parts, and they have no problem getting parts. Because that's one of the things with some of the equipment now, you can buy a local piece of equipment, but you can't get the parts.
Right, yeah, it's been a problem for a while.
Okay, all right, anything else for Steve before we let him go for tonight? No? Okay, so it sounds like Frank will try to pop in there, Steve, if you don't mind, on Wednesday, just to take a look at it with you, I guess, and kind of let us know, I guess, what he thinks in person.
Sounds
But
good.
appreciate the time.
Thank you, and thank you for what you guys do.
Yep, okay, yeah, thank you, Steve, appreciate it, have a good night.
All right, bye.
All right, so next up, and apologies, we're a little bit behind, is the fire budget and capital request review. Chief Whittemore, yep, I see Chief. Thank you for your patience and waiting here. So Chief, you did send over 2 documents, the organizational chart and the budget itself. Which one did you want to start with?
Either one, doesn't matter, whichever one you wanted to start with.
Okay, I'll just pop in the org chart here, I guess.
Start with
since
the
I have it
capital
right.
items, or what do you want me to start with?
Yeah, let's start with the budget, I guess, and then we can kind of progress into the capital items. For the budget itself, like, we don't have to go through every item, especially those that are like level funded, right? But any, any movements you want to kind of speak to would be great.
Okay, first off, good evening, everyone. How are you? My apologies. I should have sent you a few more documents a little bit sooner, but a little bit of confusion on my behalf here. So what I'm trying to do is make this as easy as possible. To get into wages of full-time and part-time and overtime on a fire department wage stuff. I'm looking to add 2 more personnel. I'm looking to add 2 more firefighter paramedics onto the department, and I'm trying to figure out ways that I can finance this through the department itself. So the easiest way to do this is a lot of information here that I'm trying to get to you this evening. The easiest way to do this is to try to show you the organizational chart and show you what we currently run and how we run it and why. So if you look at this chart here, we have 4 different groups. So at this time, we have 10 full-time firefighter paramedics. Okay, and as you see across the board, group 1, group 2, group 3, group 4, and you have 2 personnel underneath there. So that would give us 8 across the board, full-time members. They're all firefighter paramedics. There's 2 float members, which you see in us, Abby Dabrowski and Tim Frappier. Those are 2 float positions right now. So currently we run 3 personnel on a daily basis. We have a captain and 2 firefighter, either firefighter paramedic or firefighter EMTs. Because we run an ALS system, I'm trying to up our manpower and try to maintain a staffing level of 3 full-time paramedics across the board and backfill using the call department to make the 4th person. Now, that being said, this chart that I'm showing you is a little bit complicated and hard to explain. All right. So if you look at across the board, I have 2 members. What I'm looking to do is hire 2 more full-time members and put them across the board. So there'll be 3 full-time firefighter paramedics across the board on each group. Okay. Now, in order to do that, if I was to get the 2 positions, I would have 3 paramedics across the board on each group, and then I would have 1 call member filling in to make the 4th person on that shift. Okay. Whether it be a firefighter EMT or a firefighter paramedic. Okay. What I'm trying to do is maintain it across the board. So I maintain three paramedics and a call member, whatever it may be, a EMT or a paramedic. Now, I understand there's a cost involved with this, and I'm trying to look at every avenue possible to try to make this, so it's less of a cost for the town. This year, it happens to work out in my favor that because of Medicare and Medicaid, with the budget cuts that they have, when they bill us, they actually are giving us back an increase. So they're going to increase what we receive on a yearly basis by 6.6% and 14%. Now I have the numbers from Comstar that tell us exactly what the numbers predicted are on the amount of runs we currently do today. Okay. So the predicted numbers I would get just from Medicare and Medicaid back would be a total of $33,886. That's just with one of the ways I can create funding. Now, keep in mind, all of these numbers are based on what we do for current runs today. The reason why I am trying to increase this, and the way that I think I can increase this, is when we have the 3 members that are currently working on a daily basis. If we have a medical call, the 3 respond to a medical, and 2 are in the ambulance. 1 is in the shift commander's car or in the engine, whatever they're responding to. As soon as they transport with 2 members in the ambulance and off to the hospital they go. That could be anywhere from 2 hours, 2.5 hours, whatever the case may be, wherever they're transporting to. That leaves 1 member back here in town. Now, we try to do a recall to recall a person in that is home and available to come in. There are a lot of times that I get people back, and there are a lot of times that I do not get people back. So I want to try to maintain a staffing level that would maintain 2 more people to run our second ambulance. Where we're losing out on is each time that I get nobody back, I'm losing the revenue for the second ambulance. So we have 2 full ALS ambulances in the station, but we don't have the funding to staff the ambulance. So if I was to have the second person, we would have 2 people to man the first ambulance that goes out the door, and we would have 2 members to obviously staff the second ambulance to go out the door. If we don't have the staffing, which is the case now, we call mutual aid. So every time we call mutual aid, we're losing probably $2,600 for each run we do. On the average, I've guesstimated that we're losing, on the lower side, 50 runs a year through the ambulances. So at 50 runs on the lower side, that would create a revenue of $120,950 for ALS 1. Now, when we bill, there's a basic, there's ALS 1 and ALS 2. That's how we bill. So on the lower side, we would create the $120,950, which we could bill out. We would also have the funding coming back from the 6.6% and the 14% of $33,886. We also have a reimbursement that we get from Medicare and Medicaid. I apologize. Kendra, my administrative assistant, Kendra Kelly, is sitting next to me. So you hear me asking a question, you'll know who I'm talking to. We get a reimbursement from Medicare and Medicaid. So this year it's projected, we just did the paperwork today and got approval today. We're receiving $40,141.30. So if you take the 3 new revenues that we're talking about, the $120,950, the $33,886 on the reimbursement that we're going to be getting from here on in as of January 1st. and the 40,143, that totals 194,977. All right. So what I'm looking for is to put on 2 more firefighter paramedics, a base salary on step 1 firefighter with education. So they walk in the door and they have their degree. It's 62,288. Now, if you add the holiday pay into that, you're looking at 65,213 times 2 would be 130,426. Now, I've looked at it in a couple different ways. I've looked at the contract a little further, if they get any stipends or anything like that. So for 2 stipends that they would be eligible through the contract if they had them, the total for both firefighters with education, with their holiday pay and stipends would be 132,426. All right. So I'm looking for the 2 members, that would be 132,426. But by pushing the 2 bottom firefighters on the chart up and adding 2 more, I would still have to fill every day, 24 hours a day with a call person. Okay. So I've increased that, the call budget by about 50,000 to cover all the shifts. Now, that being said, there's a little bit of cushion in there because we have a storm. We have any crazy thing happen, like they had the plane down, storm standbys, callbacks, anything like that. So there is a little bit of money in there, not a ton. It's pretty tight, and I've tried to keep the numbers as tight as I can. With all of that, that would be a total of 182,426. And what that would include was the 2 firefighters and the 50,000. So I look at it in the sense that the 194,977 that we would create or be able to bill minus the 182,426 would have a revenue of in the plus of 12,551. Now, I understand that these numbers may fluctuate. All of the numbers that I'm basing everything on are by how many runs we do. So the numbers that Comstar has given me in all of my emails, and I have all the paperwork that I can show you upon request, those are based on what we're doing now, missing the 50 or 60 runs, whatever it may be. So these numbers are projected to be increased because of the amount of runs we're doing. I also looked at increasing, and we haven't done any increasing since 2018, I believe, correct? 2018 for the ambulance funding. Yeah, ambulance bill for 2018. So I did look at a way to try to create more funding to try to cover these costs as well. Now, by bringing these up, I would bring the cost up. BLS run would be from 1456 to 1619. ALS one would go from 2,287 to 2419. Doesn't sound like a lot. The difference on that specific one is, so let's just say the BLS run, the difference is $163. But what we did last year was 296 runs. That creates a revenue of another $48,000, 248. Now, with all of those together, with every one of the increases, and they're only $100 something increase, that would be the insurance companies as well. That would create a revenue of $108,300. So right now I'm looking at a total of like $200 and something thousand we could have a positive income coming in, and we could actually cover the positions with no problems and create funding. I think that what we're looking at for the 2 members, I understand there's cost involved there, but the way it goes right now, we could actually pay for it if we did everything the right way, and all the numbers that I've done, I think we could support these 2 positions without an issue. Do you have any questions on that?
Yeah, I mean, so thanks for the detail there. It sounds compelling, right? If you can fund the 2 positions itself, then I don't personally see any issue with bringing the 2 positions on. Obviously, we'll need take a vote on it and things of that nature. But I guess if you could share the background information that you pulled together, all of that data, that would be helpful. Just for that, just for how you came up with those
Absolutely.
projections and stuff.
Sure, most definitely. I've got emails and everything else from Comstar, who was our billing company. The projected revenues. I have emails from all of the other entities, Medicare, Medicaid, everything else that, shows the increases and projected revenues that are coming in from that as well. So.
Okay, yeah, if you
yeah,
don't mind just flipping that to the finance committee, there's a distribution list on the directory there. If you wouldn't mind just flipping it to all of us and we can just take a peek through that. That would be
Mike,
helpful.
if you could send me a copy as well.
Sure.
Yeah, I guess maybe if you could copy Sandy and Cody, I guess, on that email as well.
Absolutely, yep.
Yeah,
Sure,
okay,
most definitely.
okay, awesome. Any questions for Keith? Otherwise on?
I mean,
On a revenue increase, if the 2018 was the last time, how do we go about getting a revenue increase approved? Does that have to go before town, or how does that go?
this is selectmen, I believe. So what I did was I looked at the revenue that we were the current billing status that we had, and I worked with Comstar in regards to trying to figure out what we should be billing. This isn't on the higher end. This is on the average end. What they did was took all of the companies that they bill for and took an average and said, this is where you should be in order to make money. They said you could actually go higher if you wanted, or a little bit lower, but obviously you're losing money. So I looked at it and said, it seems to be fair. It's not on the higher end. It's on the medium side of everything, so that it would be fair to, all of the people for the insurance.
As far-
I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mike, as far as the average, was that based on the surrounding communities that they polled, or how was that average achieved?
That's based on some of the surrounding communities, but it's also based on other communities that they just bill for. So Comstar is a big billing company who bills just for ambulance services. And it is based on some of the communities around here that they do work for, but it's based on average on everyone that they bill for as well.
And you said that was 2018, Mike, was the last rate increase for the ambulances?
Exactly, yes. So I've looked at all possibilities, you know what I mean? I understand that this is a cost. I get that. And obviously all of the budgets are tight. I fully understand that. And as you can see, I've done my homework. I've looked at all of the budgets. I've looked at everything else I could find. And I also looked at increasing my inspection costs, ambulance billings and everything else, which we even create more money. And I just talked about that. So, I think that with everything that I've looked at in every way possibly that I can bill, and even some of the individual ways we do bill now are changed, not the actual total billing, but some of the subcategories on what we can bill for. I've looked at to see what else we can bill for to try to create revenue to obviously offset the cost of, two new members and also, other equipment that we do need.
Okay, great. Yeah, and I mean, and looking at those fees as part of the department head kind of request from the new revenue ideas that kind of came about too, right? So definitely would like to see that. Also I think, the plan is to kind of put in a review or like an annual review going forward, right? Not necessarily change on an annual basis, but to look at those, fees across various departments on an annual basis, just to, reaffirm, the fees are in line, I guess, or, that kind of thing. So that'd be a good exercise moving forward for the town to conduct on an annual basis.
Yep, I think, I'm also looking at obviously the future too. The department now with 3 personnel here, it's a little bit understaffed. You know what I mean? If we get the possibility of having the new walk-in clinic and, the subdivision that may go in with 230 units, we're going to be looking for more help. So, I mean, right now is kind of a great time with this much funding coming back to us, and finding ways right now to try to resolve some of these issues before they happen may be beneficial for the community.
Yep, no, agree, sure.
Okay.
Anything else for Chief before we move on to the budget review itself? Okay, all right, so let me just bring up this. So
Yep.
here's the budget sheets that were submitted for fiscal year 24.
Okay, so the first one here we're looking at is the chief salary, my salary. I'm going to actually just go by this one only because.
Yeah, we can skip the wage pieces, I think. Yeah, because
Yep.
I know that's
Skip
still
the
pending.
2. You want to skip the 2?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so right here is the one we were talking about initially was the full-time wages and everything else. All that reflects 2 excuse me one second, I'm just getting my paperwork together. That does reflect the two new members, two new firefighter paramedics within that budget. Any other incentives,
Okay.
As well, we just kind of talked about that under the full-time. Under the part-time, that was increased as well, only because if I'm looking to take two new people and put them up, which will give me the 3 full-time firefighter paramedics each day, I would have to backfill with, not backfill, but fill with call firefighters for the 4th position. So I had to increase that as well. All right.
Okay.
And some of that increase was based on the projected paramedic base pay for call members increasing to $26.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Overtime, basically the same thing. Overtime was obviously, I looked at all these things under overtime as well. The holiday doesn't change a ton. That's basically contractual stuff. Longevity, that went up a little bit. Whoever has longevity coming up, that's contractual as well. The incentives went up a little bit. Anything on the incentives that was contractual that needed to be done, added everything together as far as that goes. Wages on the sick time, the buyback, that's still in the contract. All right, so this is under the training budget. So I've looked at the training budget in a couple different ways. Kind of interesting on the training budget, because when I got here, Chief Amaro had explained to me that the training budget was pretty significant, and that, we had a good amount of money to kind of deal with things. I've dissected this training budget quite a bit, because when I walked through the door, we had some issues with it that I had to deal with. I had to basically stop training for a little while and kind of look at things in a different way. So first things first, from 2019 to 2021 to 22, there was only an increase in the budget of like $1,194. Now the problem with that is we have 10 full-time firefighter paramedics that have to be, recertifications for your paramedic, your ACLS, your PALS. Nero's law now that came into effect that changes everything. There's a lot of new requirements from the state that came into play that have to be paid for. I looked at contractually what needs to be paid for out of that first initial budget, the 59,000, contractually, and what I came up with is by the contract, in order to meet all their training. Now, that's not in-house training that they should be doing on our fire trucks, on the ambulances, and everything else. This is training that has to meet the state requirements to keep their certifications, everything else. It calculated out to about $43,398. Now, out of the training budget also comes the incentives for college. So if somebody takes a college class, we have 50% reimbursement once they show a passing grade. The average class that's going on right now is about $450 for reimbursements. So you add that in, that bring it up to about $50,000. So it gave me a balance realistically of about $8,859. So if we had a training class that happened at our station in regards to pumps, hydraulics, ice rescue, anything in-house, we would quickly run out of money. I had to look at different ways to come up with some ideas on how to fix this problem. I have in some cases, but it just basically is going to come down to money. The paramedic recertification and a lot of the other requirements have increased in their prices, and also added a lot more into the training so that the training budget gets depleted quickly. Nero's law is one thing. So I had to do Nero's law. If you're not familiar with Nero's law, it's where now we have the ability to transport police dogs with our ambulance. But that one class alone is about $4,500, almost $5,000 by the time we're done with the actual equipment we had to buy to purchase to keep on the ambulances and the training itself. And that was actually with the sheriff's department coming down with their dogs, doing a lot of the training. But we also had to pay a vet, because that's part of the state requirements, to pay a vet to come in to teach the class. So there was a lot of things like that that really come into play to picking away at this budget. So that's why the numbers are reflective the way they are.
So I see, so the biggest driver here is the tuition, I guess. So like what exactly sits in there?
So
outside
the
of-
tuition is if they do a class and a college class to work on their degree. So it says in the contract if they get a degree in fire science. So if they get a passing class, passing grade in that class, we reimburse 50%. So most of the classes right now, a 50% reimbursement on it is for $450.
And they're
Now, that being
expensive.
said, you know, there's a lot of people here that would like obviously to get more money. They're trying to figure out ways that they can
Sure.
increase their pay scale and everything else. So one of the incentives is, you know, to become educated and get money for your degree.
Okay,
Once
and
they
it
get
is
the
limited to
degree-
fire service, right?
Yeah,
Fire
it is. Yeah,
science.
it's limited to fire science. Yep. So that takes a big portion of the money. I mean, obviously, they're looking for, you know, to better themselves, educate themselves, which I have no problem with. I mean, you know, I'd prefer them to get educated and go get a degree in fire science and everything else.
Oh,
So,
great.
you know, it does play a good role in it though, because, you know, I think we have what, four in the now? 4 in classes now, currently. And if they're taking multiple classes during the year, we had, you know, one individual that this is like her 4th class for the year. Adds up quickly. So not being an increase, you know, being an increase of like over 4 to 5 years of only $1,100, when everything has gone up from the recertification fees to just about everything, schooling, it just didn't keep up with the times. So that's why we're a little behind right now.
And is there a limitation on the number of classes they can take, I guess, or a total?
Contractually,
There
no.
is.
No.
Contractually, no.
Mm-mm.
Okay, yeah, I don't know, it's more of a long question, I guess, but something maybe want to look
Yeah.
at, I guess, yeah, because I know like most employers, you know, have a limit as to what they fund on an annual basis.
Right.
We do want to encourage people obviously to, you know, get the further education, but what we don't want to have happening is us to fund that and then they just leave another town, right? And that experience with, that's something we need to.
We're trying to retain everybody we can.
Right, yeah.
I fully agree. That's contractual though. That's, you know, I'm
Yeah.
following the contract. So I mean, if that's
Sure.
something they change in the contract, you know, I'd agree to however they term it and however the union agrees with the town.
Yep, no, understood, yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions for Chief on this, on the training? You say before we move to the next slide? No? Okay. It looks like miscellaneous fees basically on the next piece here, Chief. Anything particular to note? I guess I see the turnout
Sorry.
here. increased.
The only thing is that, you know, was the biggest significant changes was the first issue. On the left side, you'll see where it says first issue. That had a change that reflects the 2 firefighters. So obviously when we hire somebody, their first issue is all of their uniforms,
Sure.
and anything they need to get started, you know, pants, shirts, sweatshirts, things like that. That increase, that does reflect the 2 firefighters in there. And also the new turnout gear. So that went up a little bit. Obviously, we have some turnover here that we need to replace some people right now. I just hired 2 new people, and I have another one we're going to be hiring. But each set of gear is specific to each person. Obviously, sizes, everybody's bigger, smaller, whatever the case may be. So when you buy a set of gear, if you're lucky enough that one set of gear that you have that's left over fits somebody, great. But if not, you're essentially buying a new set of gear for them each time. So I did increase that. As you well know, with everything in the world, everything went up, prices. So I did keep it on the lower side. Right now I put it in there for $3,200 a set, which basically only covers pants and a coat. We do have some pants, I mean, some boots here, some helmets here. You know, they're getting to the age where they're going to be past their, you know, their life expectancy. So
And what's that
eventually-
typical expectancy?
10 years.
10 years,
10
okay.
So eventually what I'd like to do, in not this year, obviously, but I'd like to get on a cycle where, you know, it's a reoccurring thing every 5 years. And what I mean by that is NFPA standards say you need 2 sets of gear. One is wet, one being washed. You need a second set of gear to respond to something. So every 5 years you get a new set, so that your
Yeah.
5-year set becomes your backup set. Your brand new set is good for 10 years. And then in the 5th year, your backup set would be thrown away because it's no good. And then your new set of gear would come into play. So eventually I'd like to have that, so you'd have an understanding of what we have coming up financially.
Okay, yeah, that's a good idea, I think, yeah.
Yep. Okay, that's about it on this. Uniform increases, not much. Station maintenance, basically the electricity bill has been like right around $1,100 to $1,200 a month. I increased it as little as I could. I increased it about $1,500 just to make sure that the increase in electricity, the service charges, everything else we could cover. But that's about all I did.
Okay, makes sense.
Okay.
All right, so level
The next one,
funded.
just level funded this one, no changes on this as far as vehicle maintenance goes.
Ambulance
supplies.
supplies.
Yeah, ambulance supplies gets a little tricky here. We've had a few issues that, have come into play. So the company that we use, Clinical One does all of our supplies. They'll come in, they'll look at what we have for inventory, and they'll keep track of everything we need, resupply everything, and then send us the bill. So I just had one of the bills today. In fact, I have some of the paperwork here. The last bill we had was like almost $1,400 for the month. That all varies depending on what we do, how we do it, when we do it. And, so it's kind of tough to say what we're going to use because you never know what you're going to have for calls. But Clinical One, who's been doing our, restocking for quite a few years, has sent me an email and basically, because I called them and said, well, what do you have for an increase? Like, how do you want me to increase my bill? I know that there's an increase, everything has gone up, and especially if it's, marine or medical or anything like, it's 3 times the money. Something that we were purchasing years ago for $5 is now almost $35. And if we can get it, well, that's great. But if not, we got to use a different product that may be even more money. So the medical part of it gets expensive. They told me to bump that bill alone up $8,000. So I did that. That's reflective of what it is. Now we come into play with medications now because Brockton Hospital was our original medical control option. We do have multiple medical control options with other hospitals, but where we used to replace our medications and everything else was through Brockton Hospital, and it was on a 1-for-1 basis. So what I mean by that is when a med became expired or was going to become expired, I could bring that back to them and they'd give me a free one. I would give them the one I have. We can't do that right now, and they aren't going to do that in the future. South Shore Hospital was an option that we could use, but recently they shut down and they said, we're not giving any medications out whatsoever anymore. All of the services will be buying all of your medications. It's a pretty significant hit to most fire departments because if they didn't put it in their budget, they're in trouble. Right now, we just put our first order in, and it was only like a half an order, and that ended up being, $447. So I'll give you an example. On 8/15 of 22, we had a bill for 43 cents. 9/19 was a bill for $337.98. 10/28, it was 56 cents. 11/22, we had $2.94. Those are our monthly bills because we're exchanging a lot of things. And now we don't have that option. So every medication we have now, we purchase. So the last purchase was a half an order. And didn't even restock any of the major things we needed. That was $400 and something. So most of the surrounding chiefs are projecting everything to be right around $1,100 to $1,300 a month for medications, depending on what we need. So I did increase that to about $50,000. I probably could have went more, but I was trying to keep numbers reasonable and everything else. The only thing I can say is let's start here and see where it goes. If I can save money in any way I can, I will. But they're needed items, and we really don't have an option. So,
Yeah, I guess it's going to be tough to kind of balance that. I mean, maybe there's an opportunity, and I don't know how difficult it would be, but to maybe leverage some of the other local towns, I guess, and maybe share some.
Well, I think a lot of the problem is from before. In years prior, we had some ARPA funding that we had to deal with. So obviously we were buying medications and stuff, stocking up on some of the things we needed. That's what it was used for. We also had some COVID money that was out there, and some of the state, was giving out some funding. So we purchased as much as we could, and a lot of the hospitals were doing the same thing. So that's why we were getting a lot of the stuff for free as well. All that funding is gone. So in this case now we need to purchase everything. So that's some of the major difference that you see in numbers.
Yeah, exactly. And managing that inventory, I think it's gonna be difficult, right? Because you don't want to buy too much, but then you don't want to be short either. So,
Exactly.
managing that is a
Yeah. And there is no
ongoing challenge.
set budget right now, only because everybody's doing the same thing. Everybody's guesstimating on what's going on. All of the surrounding chiefs are doing the same thing because it just became an issue. I have an email from South Shore Hospital that came out as of February 1st saying they will no longer give us medications. Brockton Hospital with the event that happened there, that cuts off Brockton Hospital. BI Plymouth was the same thing already. They didn't give us any medications. We purchased everything. So I think a lot of the chiefs around here are kind of scrambling, doing the same exact thing I'm doing, trying to get a rough number of what might work and what hopefully it will work. And, we'll put some numbers together the best we can and see what happens.
Okay. Makes sense, yeah. Any questions for Chief on that at all? Okay,
Ambulance billing, I put a little bit on the ambulance billing, not a lot, like $1,000. I could be either right on or I could be really wrong. It depends on how many runs we do. So the billing itself is based upon how many runs we do and what they bill out. Okay. Now I don't know what the increases are going to be. I've looked at Comstar and everything else, and they've projected some of the, what we could potentially be doing for runs. I've looked at all the numbers here, what we have in the computers. I think by $1,000, I think we'll be covered. I don't think we'll have any issues, but that was my increase is $1,000 here.
okay. And emergency management, looks like you put in for 2 radio.
Yep. So what I did was, obviously on the supply line, all of our radios we have now currently, we have 10 radios in stock right now that are basically for interoperability for the town. So they have the police, the fire, DPW, maintenance, there's an all call, we can get everyone. The batteries are past their life expectancy. Most of them are dead. I've tried to recharge them and regenerate them, and it just won't work. So I put money in here to make sure that in the case of, a huge event or a storm or something like that, the DPW needs them. I just dropped off a couple of radios the other day to make sure that they had plenty of radios down there for them. If we had some kind of a major event, we would have these radios available. So I need to make sure that A, they stay charged, and B, the radios are good. I just put in for new batteries across the board.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
makes sense. Yep.
Mm.
Any questions for Chief before we let him go?
Nope.
No? Okay, well, thank you so much for your time, Chief. Really appreciate it. This is,
You doing the
very
capital or
informative.
no?
Yeah, so we want to jump to the capital piece now, which,
All right.
yeah.
So I don't really have any paperwork on that. I didn't give you any. I apologize for that. Basically, I was looking for 2 different things. I don't know if you have the current paperwork I submitted.
Yeah, I'll pull it up in 1 second here.
Okay.
Trying to find that sheet you had there, Sandy. Oh, here it is. Up there. Just give it- All right, so there were 2 items here for the Minotaur pagers and then the new command vehicle.
Yes. So I'll start with the minuters. Basically, the minuters are a pager they wear on their side, or they can have at their home. I told you that, obviously when people aren't here, they're off duty, they're at home, we recall, and the pages recall people at their house. So that, we're looking for more people to come in. Some of the pages we have now are well over 10 years old. They don't work anymore. The batteries are dead. The service isn't very good. So I'm looking to get, at least 6 more, or 12 more, sorry. So I can replace, what do I have in there for? 12 pages that I can replace them. They're used, if you're not familiar with a pager, so if you're home sleeping, it'll alert, it goes off, it sets off a tone, wakes you up, says, hey, everybody's coming in to go to the fire, a medical, whatever the case may be. So they're a necessity within the fire department to do the recalls. Even if we talked about getting 2 more personnel, even when we get personnel, if we get a building fire, we get something else, we're recalling everybody anyways. So that's just one of the, items that we do need, and they're beyond their life expectancy right now. So looking to get 12 of those.
Chief, are those just a tone out type pager?
So they're a tone out type page. You can't talk on them, no.
Right, and they're not
They'll have-
you can't text on them either,
You cannot text on them either.
Yeah.
Nope.
just
Nope.
tone.
So there's newer ones out there that I'm looking into, but for right now, they're a little bit more money. They're like $400 and something a piece. They do 1,000 channels, so you can scan different things. Unfortunately for us, the problem that we're going to have with that is the police are going digital. So the ones that can have digital capabilities, they're like $700 and something a piece. I don't think we need that right now. Everybody here is issued a portable radio, so once the alert comes through, it's more so for people that are home, you're sleeping, things loud at night, if it's obnoxious, it wakes you up, says, hey, there's something going on. Look at your radio, find out what's happening, and anything, and kind of go in from there. That's basically the idea behind it. So I don't think it's necessary to spend that much money on the newer models or anything else yet.
And that includes the base station to send a tone out.
Yes, that does. Yep. So everything is done through our dispatch center now, but the base station itself is sort of a slight antenna that amplifies the sound
Right.
as well.
Right.
Otherwise, when they're wearing them on their hip, it's just they have two different settings. One, you can put it on alert, and look, you're at a meeting or whatever, you can put it on alert so that it just beeps when something goes on, or something you can have an open mic, and every time someone talks, you can hear it as well. So you can listen to everything that anybody going over the radio and talking.
No, I think we're good with that if you want to jump to the command
Sure.
vehicle.
So the command vehicle, basically what I'm looking to do is this. I'm looking to replace our forest fire truck. Okay, I know this says command vehicle on there, but obviously I'm trying to figure out ways to, save some money and everything else. I looked at a bunch of different avenues. I priced out a new forest fire truck. Currently, our one we have right now is a 2008 Ford F-250 4x4. It's got the pump in the back, everything like that. It needs to be replaced. It's coming to that time now. It's starting to have some some mechanical issues that it needs to be replaced. So I've looked at it. The first initial couple costs that I got was like $130,000. New radios, lighting, setting it up the way we have the initial truck set up and everything else. Thought it was a little high. Try to figure out another way to, go about saving some money here. And what I ended up coming up with was the vehicle that I'm currently driving is an F-350. Not a great command vehicle, very nice vehicle, but not suited well for what my needs are. So I thought, okay, if I take this vehicle, it's exactly what we're looking for on the other side. Slide the vehicle I'm driving into the Forest Fire 2, adapt that over to be the Forest Fire truck. It's fairly new, in great shape. It's perfect for what I'm looking for. And then purchase a command vehicle for me, which would be a lot less. So the original cost was about $130,000 to outfit the forest fire truck that I'm looking for. But if I take my current vehicle and move that one over to make it Forest Fire 2, and then purchase a new vehicle for me, it's roughly around $80,000 to do it that way. So there's a significant savings there. And I think it works out best for the department itself. We end up with a new command vehicle that works well and a new forest fire truck that works dynamite as well. So I did look at every different avenue to try to cut some costs, and this is what I came up with.
Okay, yeah, no, definitely appreciate the thinking outside the box there, I guess. Just a couple questions, I guess, on the breakdown, I guess. So what would be the cost to adapt your current vehicle to the forest fire vehicle?
Not a ton. You're looking at, because of the color schemes, you'd have to paint it a little bit, probably a couple $100, $1,000 to paint everything. That was in the 80,000 roughly. To take the truck that I have now, because it's already equipped with lights, radios, everything like that. I would just equip it with a different radio.
So about 8,000 all in?
What's that?
About 8,000 all in?
Somewhere there. Yeah, about
Okay.
that. And then the rest of it would be for the command vehicle. So I'd basically get both vehicles I'm looking for a lot less money.
Okay, and then on the existing vehicle, can you just tell us, would you say it was a Ford F-350?
It's a Ford F-350 4x4.
And what's the mileage on that year?
I think it's like 30, it might be 28 to 30,000 miles on it. It's brand new.
Okay.
It's brand new to 2020.
2020?
So
Okay.
I mean, it's still in great shape. It's a great vehicle. And that's kind of why I was thinking outside of the box, thinking of different ways or different avenues to save some cash. And I think it fits perfect.
Okay. Thank you for that. Any other questions for the chief on the vehicle?
Chief, on that F-350, if you convert that over to a Forest Fire 2, would that have a pump system on it as well, or how's that gonna be outfitted?
It has a pump that's slid in the back, like the existing one we have now. So we have Forest Fire 1, which is a big truck, bars on it and everything else. And then we utilize the Forest Fire 2 for the smaller fires, like brush fires, hard to get in areas, around houses, things like that. So that's exactly what this truck will be. The current truck we have now is an F-350. It's just older and it's starting to have mechanical issues. It's almost identical, besides the one that I drive has a cap on it and a slide out in the back. But it would be a forest fire truck. It would have a pump in the back, and it's set up perfect for what we're looking for.
So you're gonna put a skid mount type pump in there?
Yes, that's what we currently have now.
Yeah,
Yes.
and you're gonna put the brush bars around it as well?
No. The current pickup truck that we have now is pretty much the same thing as I'm driving, just an older model. The bars and everything else are on our other truck, Forest Fire 1. So we need to go in the woods and everything else, we take that vehicle. We back it up with the other vehicle, the pickup truck, and put out the smaller fires and kind of hit all the stuff in between the houses, things like that, where the other truck can't get to. We can also utilize it for carrying hoses. When we obviously go to a big, huge fire, we, drop 4-inch hoses, everything else, running, waters back and forth, things like that as a pickup truck. So it's utilized in a lot of different ways.
Okay. Anything else for, any other questions for chief? No, not seeing any. Okay. All right, I think we're all set, chief. Again,
All
thank you
right.
very much for
Thank you all very
the
much. Appreciate
information
your
tonight.
time.
Yeah,
Have a good
appreciate it.
night.
All right, so then moving on the agenda here, the next item was the review, discuss, and recommend fiscal year 24 town articles, which is actually the tab we're on. So I thought maybe, I think, we can skip the top section, I think, for tonight anyways, and then maybe we, just focus on the free cash item. So I thought it made sense, maybe Sandy or maybe Cody, I guess, if, I know that this group of items are reoccurring, but maybe for some of the newer folks, I guess, if somebody wouldn't mind just giving a quick background, I guess, on what some of these fees are, folks have an understanding, I guess.
Sure, I can do that. So
thank you,
the
Susan.
Plymouth County Extension Services, that's only $150. That is for the town to be part of that service. That includes the 4-H club, different things like that. We've done it every year, and it's a small ask. The $300,000 for road maintenance, up till I think it was 2 years ago, we were asking $150,000. Obviously, $150,000 doesn't get us very far on our road maintenance. A couple of years ago, when free cash was starting to come in better, we upped it to the $300,000. I think it needs to stay at that price because we really don't get much for the $150,000. So this sort of adds to the Chapter 90 money for fixing our roads. The assessor's recertification. So every year, well, every 5 years, we need to totally recertify the listings in town, the values of the houses. So what we do is we put, and this actually, I have to amend this. I thought I had already done it, but it's $18,600 they're asking for. And we put that money in every year so that on the 5th year, we have the money to do the recertification. Okay. South Coastal County Legal Service. This is a service that is provided to the residents of Halifax for basic legal services for free if they're needed. We do a $3,500 fee for it. And that allows anyone from Halifax to use that service. The same with the South Shore Resource and Advocacy, which is actually very much focused towards battered women and single. Yeah, it's that type of thing. So both of them are the same type of organization. And that's allowing our residents to access those services. I did notice, I thought I had put up the new FinCom budget. We do not have any IT articles that have come forward this year, but we do have 2 additional municipal school building articles. One is for the portico or the balcony in front of the town hall. It's actually sagging and not safe. So Scott is working on getting pricing for that. And the second is for the library, the front windows, those beautiful windows in the front of the library.
Really?
There's an issue with them as far as the structure of them. Every year we lose at least one window, it shatters. And it's something with the structure, with the way that the windows were put in, I guess. I'm not sure if it's exactly put in or the structure itself, but Scott is having a structural engineer look at it, and he is going to be trying to do something with those this year. And I'm sure that he'll be talking to us about those in the next week. So.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Sandy, for that. And so we are
Sure.
trying to get them scheduled for like next week or maybe the week after to cover the ADA compliance breakdown as well. So we'll see if we can get them on the agenda next week for that.
Right.
All right, so I mean, Sandy, this is I only have the read-only access, I guess. So if we approve some of these, I guess you'll take the notes on them and make the updates to the sheet, I guess, or? how do you
Yes,
wanna
I
do that?
will. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so I mean, unless there's any questions on these items, these are reoccurring. We did increase the road maintenance, upward this year, as Sandy noted, but I think I would recommend that we go ahead and approve these, but obviously, any discussion or feedback that anyone have, I guess, on these?
No,
Any concerns, questions?
On the road maintenance of the 300, Sandy, you said that's in addition to the chapter 90 money that Steve will be getting?
Right. The chapter 90 money comes from the state. It used to be that the town had to put in a certain percentage of what the state was giving you or something on that idea. We no longer do town share chapter 90. Instead, we put it into a road maintenance article. It gives the highway surveyor more control over the money. So this is like what the town is putting in, and then we get some from the state every year.
What are we anticipating getting for the state for this next budget year for that 90
None.
money?
I don't know. Is Steve still on? I don't know if he is or not. I'm not sure, Frank. If I gave you a figure right now, I'd be just guessing off the top of my head. So, but I can have that for you next week if you'd like.
Okay, yeah, that'd be good, Sandy. So I guess we can hold off on that one, I guess, for tonight, but with some of these smaller ones, I guess. Any concerns? So, obviously we're just making a recommendation. The capital planning would need to make the recommendation as well. And it, goes in as an article for town vote, I guess, but any concerns or you'd like to make a motion on Plymouth County Extension, the assessors recertification, and the South Coastal and South Shore 3,500 line items.
I'll
Just
make a
need
motion.
to, Sandy mentioned that the assessors recertification is going to be a little bit higher. Is that correct, Sandy?
Yes, 18,600.
600.
Yeah, good point, Frank. Yeah, so it would be, motion would be to recommend the Plymouth County Extension Service for 150, the assessor's recertification at 18,600, and the South Coastal and South Shore at 3,500 apiece.
So
I'll
moved.
move it.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second,
Thank you, Frank. Roll call vote. Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
and John Schmalling, I see you joined as well.
Sorry for being late, but yes.
And Frank,
yes,
and myself is a yes. Motion carries for those four. So some of these, obviously the fire ones are new. I think it does make a lot of sense for these two items. As the chief walked us through, I guess, any hesitations in making the recommendation on these tonight, or everybody feel comfortable moving forward, or,
I'm comfortable moving forward on those two.
okay. Any other objections in moving forward, or?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Would you like to make a motion to approve the fire request to purchase 12 Motorola Miniature pagers at 4576, and the purchase of the new fire command vehicle for $80,000?
So moved.
Sorry, 1 second. I see Chief has his hand raised. Chief?
Yeah, I just have a clarification when you get down to my articles. You guys
Oh,
will
okay.
make your
All right,
vote.
sure. Yep. Okay, thank you. So sorry, does somebody want to make a motion for the two fire line items, 4576 and the 80,000 for the new vehicle?
So moved.
Second,
Second.
thank you. Roll call vote. Frank,
Yes,
Jim,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Michael,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Motion carries. So the next two items are the police. The next three items are the police. So two of which are the recurring items, the police cruisers and the bulletproof vest, and then there were the new items for the portable radios for this year. Chief, do you want to go ahead and
Yep. So on line 21, the portable radios. So I'm looking at the email, the memo that I sent to Sandy, and there's a typo. It's the cost will include 5 portable radios, and the radios are the APX is 4,000. So it's not 10. It looks, when you look at that, it looks like it's 10. It's 5 portable radios, and the
They include them.
the description is APX 4,000. So that article, that amount is for 5 portable radios. I'll send something tomorrow to Sandy just to clarify that. But I'm looking at the letter I sent her, and it was a typo. It says the cost will include 5 portables and 5 APX. It should just be 5 portables APX 4,000 to replace the old Kenwood radios.
okay, so it's 5 portable APX 4000 radios.
Exactly.
Okay, all right, yeah, thank you for clarifying that, Chief, appreciate that. Okay, and so any discussion, I guess, on these? No?
Todd, I have just one question, just
Go ahead,
to
Joe.
get something straight in my head.
Sure.
When we were meeting with the Board of Selectmen on the 13th of December, there was mention of the police cruisers, and that there was, we were looking at possibly foregoing one of the two in
Yeah,
favor of
fantastic question.
salary increases for the staff. Is that no longer necessary?
I would say that.
It's not that it's not necessary, it's that they come out of two different buckets, as you would. So the cruisers are bought with free cash, which is a one-time purchase, whereas the salaries come out of our tax base.
Yeah, so essentially, Jim, it's non-recurring, right? So we can't really count on this. We don't know what the free cash will be from year to year. So we basically, whatever we get, we try to spend. And so we want to spend it, on capital items. So there was a thought of maybe foregoing the extra cruiser this year, but then when we looked at it, you know, with the overall balance, it just made sense to go ahead and purchase the second one now to be, you know, costs are only going up as well, right? So if we forego it now, we're gonna have to, you know, maybe buy an extra one in the coming years, so at a higher cost. So that's the way it was kind of looked at, to just go ahead and purchase it. But that was originally thought of as
Yes.
you well noted.
Okay.
So yes, great question. Any other questions, I guess, from anyone on the committee on these? No? No further discussion. Would somebody like to make a motion to approve the 2 new police cruisers for 110,000 total? The police bulletproof vests, 5,000, and the 5 portable APX 4,000 radios at a cost of 50,789.
So moved.
Second,
Second. Thank you. Roll call vote. Frank,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Michael,
yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
and myself is a yes. Motion carries. So then it kind of brings us down. Like I said, the ADA is on hold, right, until we can get the details of the 500,000. It will be, you know, just to note, it will be preliminary in the sense that he's, you know, trying to acquire estimates that are going to change slightly. There's a long list of items that need to be prioritized. So Scott is working diligently to pull that together. Like I said, I hope to have him in next week's session or the week following on the 13th or the 20th to kind of walk through that breakdown. So that will give us a good sense of that. But other than that, and the 2 items that Sandy mentioned that need to be added here, you know, were the highway department items, right? So the highway chipper and the cemetery vehicle there. So I know, so Frank agreed that he'll take a look at the demo on Wednesday. So I think we should definitely hold off on the cemetery item, you know, especially given to the cost was pretty substantial. Highway chipper came in at, was it 69,264? You know, I think that one makes a lot of sense. They also, for those that don't know, they go around, right, and pick up, you know, down limbs and such, and, you know, use it for those purposes as well. So I think it's, you know, very useful equipment for the town to have. So, you know, so I think we may want to consider approving that, but obviously want to open it up to any questions, thoughts, concerns that they have on the chipper.
And we're just replacing the chipper because it's old?
Yeah, so it was the one that we walked through earlier, Jim, with
Yeah, no, I
maybe-
certainly do. It was 69,000 and some change. Yes, I had a look at it.
Yep, so
I
it'll just
want
be,
to-
Yeah,
Yep,
it's
no,
a
it's
15-year-old machine this year, it looks like, based on being a 2008 model.
So it's age. It's not broken. It's just age.
Yeah, it's getting probably to a point that Steve could speak for it, but I would think that the maintenance of that machine is just going to continue to go up over time.
yeah, and so there was a trade-in value for it that
Mhm.
he had shared, so I was trying to share the document again. So yeah, I mean, so he did provide the 3 quotes in the document. For some reason, it won't.
Yeah, the 3 quotes he provided were from the same supplier, though, for 3 different models. He doesn't have a competitive from a different vendor to run numbers against either. I think maybe we should discuss that a little bit.
If it comes from the state contract, you're not gonna find varying numbers. It's gonna be a set price on the state contract.
So these numbers, Cody, then that he's getting quotes on are set numbers with 4% quarterly increases. The state allows for that.
If it's from the state contract, like I said, I asked Steve that and he wasn't sure if it was from the state contract. If it's from the state contract, then yes.
Maybe
So we
should
need to
dig
check
into
that.
a little more then.
Yeah, well, yeah, it definitely needs to be checked, I guess. I mean, we could wait, I guess, or we could approve it contingent on, the verification that it's through a state contractor, I
A
guess.
contracts, right?
Yeah, so it's, however you guys feel comfortable getting, I think.
Yeah, because a 4% quarterly increase is fairly significant.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen that, I mean, this is only my second year through this, but we've seen that last year as well through some of these vendors where they try to do that to try to get you to commit and, especially last year, we were seeing prices, go through the roof as well with, inflation and everything, so. But what are the thoughts of the committee, I guess? Are we comfortable with approving based on the criteria that it is a state contractor or?
I'd like to
Or-
make,
Yeah, I'm
I'd like
just
to make
looking, I'm
sure
looking at
it's a state
Sourcewell right
contract.
now. I'm looking at the Sourcewell contracts right now. It doesn't look like it's a state contract.
yeah,
No, okay,
Yeah,
Alright, so
there's no
let's-
harm in waiting to find out for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
next
so
week or
let's
the
hold
weekend.
off until we find out for
I
sure,
would-
I guess, Cody, so is that something that you're gonna develop? Like, who's gonna do the final validation on that? Are we gonna have Steve do that, I guess, or?
We'll have Steve hopefully send me the information and then I can verify it.
Yeah, okay. All right, and then, so then maybe too, what we can do is ask him, I guess, to go out to some other vendors. Well, in the, well, I
go
guess
out
it's
to
a moot
the
point, I
state contract list.
Yep.
Aren't they required to do that when they're doing these kind of, looking to purchase these things? Are we not required to go through
I think we should
the
do.
Mass State Contractors list?
We either have to go through a state contract or we have to go through our own procurement. So we typically always go through the state contract because we don't have the resources to go through our own procurement for everything we buy.
Right.
yeah, it gets expensive to do that.
Mhm.
Yeah, it does reference a contract number here. I don't know. I try to
But does it
Google
look
that or
like
something.
something that's familiar? Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
let's just have Steve verify that that is a state-approved contractor and that they're allowed to get us 4% increases on a
Right.
quarterly basis as well.
Okay, all right, so yeah, we can defer those.
Maybe you can have that for next week and we can kind of wrap that up for him.
Mm.
Pull back up the, okay, so we'll defer Chipper and then we're also, Frank, I guess we'll wait to hear from you back on Wednesday, I guess, on what your thoughts
Yeah,
are
is-
on the,
Is that what the cemetery is for that?
yeah,
excavator?
it's that,
It
But
is,
it'll be-
it's the mini excavator.
Okay, okay.
Excavator, yeah.
Yeah, I'll go check that out. I got a lot of familiarity with heavy machinery and things of that nature, so be right in my wheelhouse.
okay, awesome. And then,
And
so
if
that brings,
I may,
yeah, go ahead,
I
Sam.
will be putting forth one more article. State regulations require us to do another Gatsby study for our OPEB. So I'll be putting in an article. Last time it was about $8,000. I don't expect it went up too much, so I will let you know next week.
Sorry, and what's that for, Sandy?
It's our OPEB, we have to have, and I'm losing the word right now, but we have to have a report done every 2 years for our OPEB account, just to show us what our liabilities are. And that will be due this. We didn't have to do it last year. Last year they did the update for free. This year, we do have to have the full report done, so I will be adding that. And I believe it will probably be around $8,000, but I'll let you know definitely next week. And that's it. It's an actuarial study. That's what we have to do. And that is a state requirement.
All right, so I'm just looking through the expenditures, I guess. So I think obviously we need to skip the wages because a lot of that's still very fluid at the moment.
Everything you see on the expenditures that is in red is not a firm figure.
I would maybe wait on this until next week, Todd. Sandy and I haven't had a chance to sit down and go over our recommendations. So if we push
Okay.
this next week, we're gonna try to get together this week and go over our recommendations and present that to you.
Oh, okay. So yeah, let's do that next week. I'm not seeing anything in red, I guess, though, Sandy.
Yeah,
Not
I
showing
mean,
up on my
Oh, you gotta
screen.
go down a little bit more. I saw it. So,
Oh, there's some down here.
yeah,
There
you
they are.
just passed a bunch of them. Yeah.
Oh, did I make?
There you go.
It's
There
not
you
coming
go.
up on my screen as red. You guys can see it
well,
as red?
it's just kind of
Yep.
pink.
It's not a bright red. Yeah,
185, line 185.
yeah. I get offended with the bright colors.
Oh, okay.
Sort of a
Yeah, I don't
yellow
know.
red.
Strange, because on my
Yeah,
computer
I
it's just
see it anyway,
black,
so.
so I don't know. Oh,
It
over here,
is-
I'm sorry, I see it over here.
Yeah,
It's
right, there it
looking at
is.
the-
Like
the
a
line item
pinky
itself. Okay,
color.
Paint road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
gotcha. Yeah. Okay, sorry, I was looking for the
no, that's
the name
fine.
of the account, but okay. All right, so yeah, so let's do that next week, I guess. And then we can, based on your recommendations, we can talk through them and then make our recommendations, I guess. All right, so that skips the expenditures, I guess. Which I think we'll have some, so we're still waiting on the school, obviously, so it'll probably be a couple weeks before we get them, it sounds
Right.
like, but
Yeah.
hopefully we can get Scott in next week, though I did shoot him an email just prior to this meeting. I haven't had a chance to look to see if he's on it back yet, but we've been working with him, Sandy and I, to try to get him in, like I said, in the next week. So hopefully we can get him in next week to go through those items as well. And then otherwise we can get the expenditure, sorry.
Sandy, I haven't heard from Mike over at Parks. Have you heard anything or?
No, I haven't.
Yeah, I see
I
he's
reached
on,
out,
he's got a
talked
meeting
to
on
Tommy
Wednesday.
Schindler. Yeah, I spoke with Tommy Schindler and he said that he thought that Mike was working on it. Hopefully we'll get something soon.
Yeah, I
Wasn't
saw
there a
they had
meeting?
it on their agenda for Wednesday.
Oh,
Yeah. All right.
So maybe they wrap it up Wednesday.
Hopefully, yep.
Yeah,
Okay, and that's the last other one, like everything else is in, right? Aside from that and the school?
and Sandy,
Yeah.
you're gonna take care of the two historical ones, is that correct?
That's right,
Okay.
I am. Mhm.
All right, so then just moving on to the agenda, I guess, is the new town revenue suggestions is next. I did check the folder. There was nothing new out there. So, I know folks working through the review. And then also one of the things we were looking at, which Jim, I think we'll just need to regroup with Jonathan at some point, is to look at that, the transportation for the
Yeah.
special education.
Yeah.
No, we haven't had a chance to do that. So, that we should do in the coming weeks or so.
Well, let's talk to him Wednesday night at the wage and personnel meeting.
Well, that's actually going to be
It's a month
canceled.
Canceled.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I shot you guys an email on that. So, Cody was looking through the bylaws and, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot we can really do, without going through the, the town meeting. So
Yeah.
didn't really feel like it was gonna be a fruitful meeting, I guess, so, we, to postpone that to a later date. There is the other item too that, Cody's working with the chief on, or will be in the coming weeks to kind of nail down the lieutenant, deal there. So that's still kind of pending as well, but like I said, there's not really a lot to kind of really go through this week, so we'll look.
Yeah.
I think we originally had a meeting tentatively scheduled for the 22nd, so, maybe that comes back into focus. Cody, I don't know, we can revisit to see if we even need another one, I guess, but something maybe we can keep up there for now.
All right.
Okay, but yeah, so Wednesday, you have your Wednesday back, I guess, which you'll get,
That's fine.
All right, so then as far as moving on to the next item, the correspondence was next. I haven't seen anything come in this week. I don't know, Sandy or anybody else, anybody see anything come in? Or-
No.
No, okay,
Oh, the only thing is I submitted the response to the open meeting law violation.
oh, okay, yeah,
The Attorney General's office responded, and the individual that submitted the complaint was happy with our response, and that has been closed out.
okay, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Next item was as may arise. I don't know, was there anything from anyone else that anyone want to bring any other topics up or any public participation? Okay, all right, so once we hear back on, I guess, what we can schedule for next week, I mean, we know that we'll walk through the expenditures with Cody and Sandy next week, so we'll do that, but then once I hear back from Steve, we'll circulate an agenda for next week and kind of go through that then. We need to chip away, we'll have to make our recommendations on the rest of these, so
Yeah.
hopefully we can make some good headway next week on that. If there's no other discussion topics for tonight, somebody like to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a
Second,
second? Roll call vote, Frank,
Yes, please.
Jonathan,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
and Michael,
yes.
and myself is a yes. Meeting is adjourned at 7:43 PM. Thank you all for your time and hope you all have a great night.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye, everyone.